Hi, I'm Carmen. I'm a psychologist and mother of 4. Today I would like to talk a little bit more about anxiety. There's already another talk I've done where we focused on the symptoms we feel, like why our heart is pumping harder, why we feel like we can't get enough breath and air, why we might feel sweaty in our hands or tingly or have a dry mouth. So I hope you've seen that talk, and I hope it has helped you understand a little bit how amazing our body actually is at trying to keep us safe in a dangerous situation. And knowing what is happening in our body can really help us get through it a little bit better and realize that nothing bad is actually happening in our body. We just have to get through this. And I did a bit of a breathing strategy, a little hack you can do to get through it quicker in that last one. And I also have a talk on other relaxation strategies. So maybe check them out if you haven't seen them already and try something like that for yourself as well. Today I want to talk a little bit more about anxiety, how we make it worse, and then of course also how we can get better again and make it less. So anxiety in general, I want to say, is the worst, biggest mental disorder that people, young people and adults experience in today's world. And with the uncertainties in the world, it's only making it worse. So even people that never had anxiety before experiencing it now, and already statistics from before COVID said that 1 in 3 people experience anxiety at some point in their life. So if you look around at your workplace, in your family or in your classroom, you can assume that there's a handful of other people that have experienced it as well, that know what you're going through or that will experience it sooner or later as well. It's not necessarily always a disorder just because we feel anxiety. Anxiety is actually a good thing, like it protects us and it keeps us focused. So protecting, you can probably imagine if you wouldn't have anxiety of high places or dying, you would maybe jump off a cliff without a parachute and not worry about anything. But of course our anxiety of falling to our death or falling accidentally keeps us safe in situations like that. We're not just walking out on a busy road because we fear being run over by a truck. So anxiety is a good thing, and we're not touching dangerous animals potentially because the fear of what they might do to us keeps us safe. Again, a certain level of anxiety also keeps us focused. If you imagine going into an interview or an exam, a test, anything like that, a public speaking event, and you're the speaker, if you wouldn't worry a little bit about doing a good job, you wouldn't really practice, you wouldn't prepare yourself, you wouldn't really care what the outcome is, and you probably don't give your best performance. However, that little bit of anxiety about it actually keeps us focused because we want to do a good job. It helps us get prepared well and put the work in and the effort in as well. So a certain level of anxiety actually heightens our performance also in test and exam situations or interview situations. However, if that anxiety is so bad that we can barely breathe anymore, that we just have a complete mental blank and can't think of anything anymore, then of course the anxiety is so disruptive that it has a really negative effect in our life, and we have to do something about it. I just wanted to make sure you also realize that anxiety is not as such a bad thing, only when it starts to affect our life in a really negative way. Usually how our life is affected in that negative way, and that brings us to how we actually make anxiety worse, is that we start to avoid certain things. We feel anxious about a specific situation. For some people it's going to social events, school even, there's crowds of people, shopping centers, or for some people it can get so bad that they don't want to leave the house anymore. So obviously avoiding going to these places straight away makes you feel comfortable. You get that relief the second you decide, I'm not going. And that relief feels so good compared to the anxiety you just felt before, that a bit of a vicious cycle starts. You'll find it so much easier to say no to things, or so much harder to actually go and overcome that anxiety, because oh, that relief is so nice. You want to feel that and not the anxiety. But unfortunately your anxiety is just getting worse. The more you avoid something, you can never suddenly, there will not be suddenly a day when everything is back to normal and you can just go to these events again without feeling anxiety or fear. So really the only thing you can do is push yourself through that uncomfortable feeling, through the anxiety, and hopefully with learning in my other talk why your body feels that way and what it's actually doing, and that nothing bad can happen to you, it's just uncomfortable, can help you do that. And also some of the strategy, and we will look at a couple more today, will help you get through this. So that's one big thing we need to know about anxiety. While avoiding the situation we're anxious about feels really great in the moment, it actually makes the anxiety worse. So most commonly we have social anxieties or phobias, specific phobias. Usually if the phobia is something like spiders or snakes, it doesn't affect our life that much. If our phobia is something like needles or doctors, it might affect our health, and that can be a serious problem one day. If our phobia is enclosed spaces, and maybe we just rather take the stairs than an elevator, that's maybe not so bad if you live somewhere where that's an option. However, if even just being in a room or in a house and windows and doors are shut affect you, then again it becomes a big problem. So you just have to see what it is. And social anxieties, of course, really start to affect and impact our life in a serious way, because we're such social animals, such social creatures, that if we start to avoid social situations, our friends having fun, going out, being in those situations, or if it gets worse, even going to school or going to work, can really, really have a negative impact, and I don't want that for anyone. So I would like you to try and really understand your anxiety, and sometimes that might help by writing it down when you have anxiety attacks. What is happening? Is it always the same time? Is it always the same situation? Or make a little bit of a list even. What are some of the things you're not doing anymore because of that anxiety? Especially if it is a social anxiety, that could be a quite varied list of things. And really the only thing we can do at the end of that, when we have that understanding of what it is we're afraid of, what are some of the things we avoid, we can then make a list. It's called graded exposure, where we start to tackle the easiest of the things we're not doing anymore. Like, I'm working with young people that don't even want to text or write an email to anyone anymore for fear of writing or saying the wrong thing. So they show it to a friend first to make sure that it's alright, it sounds alright what they're writing. So that's a pretty big thing, and of course those kind of people, they don't go out with their friends anymore. They don't want to order in a restaurant, even a fast food place. They sometimes don't come to school anymore, so it really affects their life. Or they don't want to go for a job interview, because that's of course so much worse of a fear factor than sending a text message. So what I do with these people is I'll make a list of all the things they don't do anymore, and you can do that at home as well. And then we list it in order, we order it from easiest to hardest, like the things they really want to do one day again, but it's not even imaginable at the moment that they can ever do that again. So we will just tackle that easiest first one with some strategies how they can keep themselves calm when they do it, with some talking through it, what actually the thought behind it is, what they're worried about, and maybe address that a little bit as well, why they might not really have to worry about this at all, and it's just in their mind. They just worry about something. Very often anxiety is not something that is actually there. It's not really happening. It's something we imagine will happen. Like we worry that someone will laugh at us, or that we make a fool of ourselves, but we haven't actually done that. No one is laughing. We're still at home, and we just worry it will happen. So we sometimes have to address that as well. How likely is it that what I'm worried about happens? So make a list, grade it from easiest to hardest, and then just tackle that first easiest step and try and push through. Try and push through that feeling uncomfortable and still going to that event, or still ordering something over the phone, or still ringing that friend, or whatever your lowest level anxiety is, until you're comfortable with that, and then tackle the next one up on the step. And that's really the only way how you can get out of this, making the anxiety worse. And hopefully you have a couple of really good experiences. It actually goes much better than you thought. If it doesn't go well, still give yourself a pat on the back for having tried, because that's a massive step. It's huge. You know, be proud of yourself that you're trying and that you work through it. So yeah, I hope this helps you a little bit. Some other strategies besides the ones we already talked about in the relaxation, and you can listen to that talk as well to get some more ideas. But you can also, when anxiety gets really bad, besides breathing or visualization, you can also color in or have a fidget toy, or if you're at home and you have that anxiety, you can maybe watch something funny. You can journal about your anxiety. You can talk to someone about it. And yes, definitely, if your anxiety has a really negative impact on your life, I would recommend you get some help with that. Talk to a professional, or go to your GP as well and discuss your options there. But have a go and let me know how you go. Send me some feedback, like my YouTube, and subscribe. Thank you.